And we're going to need to do an all-out push in the next 2 months if we're hoping to get to accomplish all of our objectives. That's a major thing that we need to do. That means getting the robot put together, getting everything to work right, getting all the documentation put together for NASA. That is very critical that we do that. We don't want to do anything last minute. We want to make sure we have a nice, even workflow that makes it easy for everybody else to do that. So that's very critical. One thing that like I said, one of the problems that we had last year was the workflow was not very good. Neither was the teamwork for that matter. So we want to make sure that does happen. Right now, just to bring you up to date on what we are going to be doing, what's happening is that I did make a communication with both Pumping Station 1 and Gloria. I requested as of this week to have access to Pumping Station 1. I have not have a confirmation of that request because I wanted it this week. And that I will get a confirmation by Monday as far as what's going on because we got to get moving on this. The other thing is that happens to do with materials. If we have anything materials to get, let's get them. And that I would leave out at least for now anything as far as spares goes. Spares, we can determine that once we have the final configuration of the robot, how that's working. We need to have that. And that will order probably maybe mid-April or something like that so we can have all the spares ready for us that we have. So all of that needs to be done that's on there. Now, the other thing, let me point out, we're going to go through the status and all that we have here. But I want to point out one thing. When we come back from vacation, from our spring break, I'm going to set up a test on NASA rules. All of you are required to know NASA rules, no exceptions whatsoever. Everybody has to take the test. The test will be a 20 to 30 minute time test, and you will be allowed to access all 35 glorious pages of the NASA rules and FAQs. So, and again, you need to have access to it. So you can either bring printed copies, you can access them online, whatever you want to do. So it's going to be an open book test, and so I want everybody pretty much to know what those rules are, how they affect the robot, how they affect us. So that's going to be something that's going to come up and at that time. The other thing is there are right now two major things that we need to be concerned about as a team. I have the final roster has been already sent to NASA. The corrections, I'll confirm that on Monday as well with NASA. Two things that are right now at the top of our list. Number one is that we do have an issue with the motherboard on USB ports, and that we need to clear up. What is that? Is that a driver issue? Is that a hardware issue? What is that? We need to kind of localize that and put that to bed. Do we have a virginitis issue? What do we have? If we cannot get consistent boot up on that, we're going to be in trouble. So we need to get
So with that respect, today we plan on trying a different distribution of Linux and seeing if the same problems occur.
Good.
If problems don't persist, then there's obviously an issue with the ISO we were using, and then either we'll switch to the new one or we'll try something else.
Yeah, as I said, when you're moving to a new version, just be careful that everything else works with it.
Yeah.
Because they take stuff in and out of the kernel, in and out of the libraries that goes on there. So we need to make sure that we have everything there. We got to be careful we don't upset the apple cart that's on there. From what I've seen of the problem, it appears to me it's a driver issue. But if it was a hardware issue, it'd be DOA.
Yeah.
It'd be totally DOA. So it seems to be a software-related issue, but let's go through the steps of doing that. So that's the kind of thing that we need to focus on. And that I know from talking with Jason that we already have all the parts that we need, we can start fabricating anytime. All I need is the dimensions on the sheet.
Yep.
So if
We're
we
just
get,
waiting on mechanical to finish up their design, so if anything changes, then.
Yeah. I can, like I said, I can just go like on a Wednesday over there and have them just punch out the sheet for me on one of their shears that is on there. One of the things I also want to point to all, members of both electrical as well as mechanical. In its infinite wisdom, Oakton decided to move when they were revamping the manufacturing lab downstairs. They decided to move all of the tools that we used for fabricating out of there. Bandsaws, drills, everything that we used to use to fabricate everything else. The only thing that's left there are drills and stuff, but those are primarily for woodworking. If you take a look at everything, a lot of the stuff is meant for woodworking. Stuff that we need to cut metal or anything else is gone. So what we're left with this old crappy drill that we have on there. And I'm going to try to see if we can get that issue taken care of. Because I can tell you one thing. For those of you that are going to be around for next year, one of the things that we're going to be looking at is we're going to be looking at a new design. And the new design inevitably is going to involve fabricating. It would be kind of nice is instead of relying on pumping station 1 and 100% fabricating, some of the minor stuff we can do here. That would save us a lot of time. So we need to get that. There was talk about putting a closed shop downstairs, but I don't know whatever happened to that proposal. So we'll try to get something on that. But that is something that I am very concerned about, not only for this year, but also for going on to next year. One other thing that Jeremy also told me, and I think a few of you told me, is UIC's team and the U of I's team are not in the NASA competition this year. They have gone into a 2-year design cycle. That is something that we may want to do next year, but that's too early to tell right now. It's too early to tell, but that's something we may want to look at, especially given the fact we have what we're going to be doing this year. Let me explain what my particular things, what I'm looking for out of the robot this year. Number one, we want to see just how well that mechanical design actually works. We never really had the chance to do it last year. That's on there. Never really had a chance. We need to get that. We need to do that. We also need to know whether our method for achieving autonomous operation is sound. I would love it if we can put that thing, if we can put the robot in the pit and get it to and have it run autonomously, even if it winds up running into a wall. That's better than what we've done so far. That's on there. So we really need to understand what we have and how well we can do that. That's going to be the key thing. The other thing that we're all going to be doing, and I'm going to deputize each and every one of you to do that. We're going to be going down to that contest, and you're going to be looking at a lot of other robots that other teams are fielding. We need to get information on those. So what I'm going to have all of you do is bird dog one team and find out. Go over to their practice runs. Take a look at their robot, see what that is. And find out some information. How successful was it? How successful was the design? Did it work? Did all the bolts all? What did it do? So we need to have detailed information because that is going to play key for next year. So that's one of the things all of you should be doing. I don't want to have everybody hanging around the pit area. I want everybody more or less to go around and work. Go to the arena where they're running their practice runs because there'll be practice runs all day on Monday and Tuesday. There'll be practice runs. Take a look over there. Take some photographs. Take some notes. And see how those teams are doing. That's going to play a very important part in what our decisions are going to be for 2018, 2019, and that. Now, speaking of 2018 and 2019, those of you that are following the news in any way know that our administration, in its infinite wisdom, has decided that one of the proposals that put in is to abolish NASA's Office of Education, and that. That's in the proposal stages right now. It still hasn't been submitted, there hasn't been any movement through Congress or anything else. That would play havoc probably with this program. I'm not sure how much, Bethany told me about 2 years ago they weren't really part of the Office of Education. I gotta confirm that. However, the fact is, a lot of you have benefited from the programs in one way or another that NASA has put out, that's on there over the years, whether you've taken part of it or not. So I think it's important for those of you to do that, is to look up who your representatives are in Congress and write a few letters. Write a few letters to them regarding that. So that's something that needs to be done, because again, congressmen love to hear letters, particularly from their constituents, that's on there. And again, don't write one of those machine letters that's on there, those pre-canned ones. Write something in your own words. That's one thing I want to say in that. The other thing that has to do, that I want to also point out to everybody, next 2 months are going to be kind of intense, and I need everybody's participation. We have 17 people on this team that are signed up with NASA to go, but I don't see 17 people on here. I know at least Sean is down with the VEX convention, with the VEX outreach. That's that he's down on it. But again, one of the things that I have noticed this semester is that attendance has been spotty. And some people have been very consistent, coming in early, doing whatever they need to do. Others of you, some people don't, some people have not shown up. Let me make it very clear so everybody understands this. Your ability to go down to NASA is not guaranteed. Ultimately, it is up to me. I will not hesitate to drop anybody from the course for non-attendance of these meetings if they're not excused. So I expect everybody, pretty much, if you're going to if you're going to be missing these meetings for any reason, let me know. If you're just not going to be at these meetings, then don't tell me. To me, that's a sign you're not interested. If you're not interested, then you may find out you may not be on the list. For that reason, I'm not going to make any final decisions on hotel accommodations until at least until the spring break is over. That is put on ice. I want to make sure that everybody understands that. If we don't work together as a team, if anybody doesn't pitch in together, the job is going to be a lot worse. So we need to do that. So I was originally looking to do this around this time with Gloria. I'm delaying it. I want to see more participation. I want to see exactly who's going to be here or who's going to be hanging around. I'm going to be sending a letter to everybody, pretty much stating the same thing. I want to know, again, because we really need to get that, we really need to have 100% participation at this. And if you're not going to be at the meeting, let me know why. Give me a reason. You certainly do that at work. And again, not showing up, not giving me any reason, that tells me, hey, I'm not interested. And I can tell you one thing, you're not going to be going to the contest. So again, I'm not going to be doing anything on accommodations until after the spring break. I want to make sure that everybody understands that. Okay? And then, other than that, what I want to do is, Jeremy has put down some of the deadlines that we have, and we're going to be, like I said, it's going to be tough. March, we're putting the robot together, we're putting everything else is going to be coming together, but we also need some of the other stuff. Let's talk about it. Outreach and systems. These, from those of you that were around, are two major reports that have to be done. And a lot of work has to be done already. The big thing that I want to make sure is that we have everything that we need. We have everything so we don't go pell-mell the last 2 weeks like we did last year. We want to make sure that we have everything there. Slide presentation, that again is another one. We got these. This should be fairly easy to do. We've got a lot of information. We've got a lot of graphics, a lot of pictures that we can use. And I think one of the things that has happened is, as a result of the NASA feedback, I think we finally know what we need to tell them. So, and that. Because remember one thing, when you get your scores from NASA for the Joe Cosmo, your standings, they don't only depend upon what you did in the pit, they also depend on some of these other activities as well. So we need to put forth the effort across the board and that. And that's what got us through last year. Last year, in spite of the fact we did miserably in mining, we did very well on the others to the point where we ended up in the top 15, which was pretty good. So if we do good across the board, we should be able to fit in with the top 10. We should be able to do it. If we do really a good comparable job, get everything in there, one plus with anything well, I have a pretty good confidence that we'll be able to be within that top 10 league and that. So again, and again, I want to point out this is going to be this is a team effort. I don't want it to be like last year, where the last 2 weeks were absolute hell for a couple of team members that were really involved in that. That's not going to happen again this year. If it's going to happen again, I'll tell you one thing: I'm going to drop us from the contest. It's going to be like it was last year. I'm not going to go through it. Plain and simple. We're going to call up NASA and tell them we're withdrawing. That's on them. We're not going to have a lead. And then, like I said, things do come up. Things do come up. Last minute stuff will come up. That's why we have to be prepared for that. Okay. Any questions regarding before I turn over the meeting to Jeremy? Okay, I'm going to turn over the meeting to Jeremy. Go ahead.
All right, guys, I'm just going to do a quick check with every team. We'd like to talk about a few things, but mechanical team, I want to ask how fabrication's coming along, where you're at, and how long it'll be until you'll be done.
So currently, only like one of our members have access to PS1. So he went down to it over last time when we met at the meeting. Simon did go, and I think they worked on the gearbox. You were there?
I was not there, but I do know that they worked on the device.
Yeah.
I understand that they did it.
Yeah.
Simon
Yeah. So I don't know if he
Simon
was.
was confirmed.
Yeah. So I don't know if he has done other things than that. It depends on if he has or not, and how long it will take to put it together. If we need to get more things, like we need to cut some pieces, get some holes in place and all that. So if we have all that, we can put it together fairly quickly, but we'll see from there.
Okay, because I need to communicate something with you guys very clearly. Next week, we were supposed to start autonomy testing.
Right.
So we're running behind. It's okay, things happen, I understand.
Yeah.
But I need to really make sure you guys need to report to me what you're doing, how long it's taking, problems to come up as they do.
Yeah, I think problems coming up, the sooner that we know what problems are coming up, the sooner that we can take corrective action. That's key.
Yeah.
Last year, that was one of the problems that we had. There were problems, but nobody communicated to us until the very last minute. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that anything happens. And the other thing too, I do want to emphasize to everybody, scheduling is important. However, what is also as important is that we don't take any shortcuts that affect the overall quality of the robot. And that, I mean, put it to you this way, last year, I cannot give you a better example of that than the quality, quote unquote, quality of the wiring that we had on the robot. All of you seen that wiring. Okay? We don't want to run through that. We want to make sure that the quality of the wiring, for example, is the same as it was on the previous robots. We want to make sure that the mechanicals is the same as it was on the other robots. We don't take any shortcuts. We want to make sure, again, because that's, I would rather have us take the extra time here than sit there for 2 days under extremely high pressure conditions at the pit working on the robot and working in a very cramped condition. That's no fun. I know we'll have to do it. That's in there, but if we can get away with it, let's plan on doing it.
So I know that we're in the process for certification for paying for your PS1 certifications, but I need you guys to be aggressive in getting into PS1. Whether it's a class, a certification, whatever. I know people can bring guests as well. So, if you're one short, try to get in first. Just go. You got to be in there, and you got to have fabrication time done. So please report to me by the day. Do you guys know what you'll have done by next week?
No, I don't have anything yet. I was waiting for Peter to update us today.
Yeah, so as soon as Simon or Peter comes in, they'll tell us that what have they got.
Simon is out of town right now.
Yeah, so after I get in contact with him, we'll know what we have to do. Because currently and we have Simon who has access to PS1. We don't have anyone else, and we don't have access to many tools that we can use to cut or drill holes or make any modifications.
I understand.
We only felt comfortable going with Peter last week because we had Declan and IIT kids come with him.
And he only could take one guest, so
He went down, I know he went down there with Peter. I will, like I said, I will get that straightened out by early next week. I will call down there, ask for the treasurer, make sure that he has the information that we need. And that. So he has not replied to me, I'm gonna take a look at the call.
So please message Simon, and also message me. Please let me know, we spent the day at PS1 today, this is what got done, or this is what didn't, because I don't wanna look for you guys to find out what happened. Besides that, I know you guys have, CAD. I know you were working on that, but fabrication has kind of taken precedence. How is CAD? Be frank, where's it at right now?
so we have most of the details in, some of them are like just logistics, like some of the holes are not in place and stuff. But when we try to make changes in the assembly itself, it keeps crashing. And we have to break the links to make the modification we had to, so we can't modify from the original file and transfer it to the assembly, so we have to work on the assembly and it keeps crashing. So we're gonna have to work through it slowly so it doesn't get confused one at a time.
Okay, if you can't fabricate, like if you're just waiting on Simon to email you back, that's a wonderful time to work on CAD. So you guys can work on that in the meantime. So I really wanted you guys to also be aware of those CAD files. Those have multiple dependencies. So not only do we take screenshots of those and include them in systems paper to show our mechanical designs, software has also historically used those CAD files for simulations, which we then included back into our systems paper. So, it's not looking for perfection, it's not going to show a huge amount of detail, but it does need to be an assembly file which you can send over the loop. So, please be aware of that. That handles fabrication CAD. Software team. I know that you guys have been working a lot on autonomy, and just a quick reminder for the loop to send me the data flow diagram, data visualization. We'll probably work together on that to get that done in the systems paper, but it is directly getting transcribed in there, so there's no layers between that and publishing. We'll also talk about for the presentation as well, because we talked about for our presentation showing off the data minimization. So not only for systems, but also for the presentation. We'll talk all about that. But autonomous development, where are we at? Where's our troubles? How's it going?
So, like Angela said earlier, we're having some trouble with USB connectivity. Sometimes when it boots up, the USB, I think 2 or 3 of the USB ports just won't turn on. And if nothing's plugged into them, when you boot up, they just will not accept anything. Sometimes they just don't accept anything by default. The first course of action is to check if it's the operating system. So today we're going to download the ISO for the different version of Linux, and we're going to try that. See if we have the same problems or not, and then go from there. Obviously, if we have the same problems, it's the motherboard. If we don't, then it's the OS, and then we'll begin the transition from one OS to another, making sure the compatibility issues are okay. Last Saturday, I know you guys worked on calibrating the Kinect. That's a long process with 1,000 calibration images, which is tedious and slow, but we're getting there slowly but surely. Ben is working on localization, which should be good. If we can get where we are and see what's in front of us, then that's 80% of the work. Then it's just kind of fitting the Legos together with the existing software and trying to get it to not crash. Which, to be honest, is the slowest process, is making sure it's not crashing consistently.
Yeah, I really want to speak for the whole team here and that we support as much testing time as possible. Sometimes more work gets done in the last 25% of the project than in the first 75%. Sometimes it's just the nature of things, but we need to get to the testing phase as soon as possible, and especially for software as we have. I know you guys have worked really hard for a long time developing this, and so thank you very much for the report. Electrical team. Besides the USB ports not working on this motherboard, what else has been going on? Is that
So we have the layout for where we're gonna put all our part lists. We have the CAD file for it.
okay?
So we have all of that, but I think what we should focus on is all the small things that we might overlook, like motherboard standoffs, how we're gonna mount that, padding for the motherboard, things like that. Like all the really small things that we aren't really thinking of right now. We want to start like getting the parts we need for that and try to have like the least amount of problems when we're
Yeah.
actually going through. So I think that's gonna be our focus as well as helping them with the USB stuff.
Cool. And thank you very much, because we will be including both the electrical wiring diagrams,
Yeah.
as well as the CAD for the box in our systems paper. So, and another thing I want to talk especially to electrical teams, you guys are kind of the middle between fabrication is done and software team starts. So we'll definitely work very closely with mechanical team to figure out as soon as you guys are done to start testing as soon as possible. So thank you very much. Is there anything else besides that?
Nope, I don't think so.
All right, what's up, Liz?
I actually, since I'm working on the Oaktobotics calendar right now, and I want to invite everybody to it, if they're not already invited, so you get notifications on any of the deadlines. So, Jeremy, you go around and ask, does anyone have a tentative deadline for when we're gonna have each of these things in? So that we could just kind of keep in communication with it, and if not, like maybe just talk to Mr. Rhodes in between, and let us know by next week.
So, realistically speaking, I see mechanical, electrical, and software really having a lot of work during spring break. So, as a quick show of hands, is anyone leaving for spring break, or will you be here? Anyone leaving?
Is Easter over spring break?
No.
No?
Okay.
Then no.
But we're going to leave over Easter.
Okay.
Okay.
What
I
I'll
just-
need to do is, for spring break, is if we're gonna be coming here, using the school facility on spring break, I can arrange with security
We're gonna have to.
to,
Yeah.
to have somebody in here. My impression is that there will be normal hours during the spring break, there'll be some things going on. So let's fix the dates and the times that we will need to have access to Oakton, and I can take care of them.
Okay.
So I think we might have a different spring break.
Ours is on, I think, 24th,
For
that week.
Yeah.
Easter is.
So
Okay.
it might be a little weird kind of coming because we will have class that week. So
So I think the most important thing is for a mechanical team, when you guys are done with your fabrication, to pass that off so that it can kind of be open hours for electrical team to get started installing and troubleshooting. Software team just kind of develop every day until the testing. So you guys will have a little bit more flexible hours for electrical and software. What else is there? So I talked with Sean. He mentioned that he's going to send first draft of our PowerPoint tomorrow. Tonight, we're working on our second draft of our outreach report because we have most of our information, so we're just formatting it. We'll submit to you tonight, Angela.
Good.
Systems, Sean isn't here, but we're going to work with that this week, and we might be coming around asking for additional assets. We've told most of you what we're looking for, but if you have any other questions, we'll find you. Proof of life video. Did we get any information?
That's another thing, I haven't heard from Gloria on that either. What she may have done, she may have ordered and not told me anything. I'll follow up with her as well.
Okay.
Because that request went up to Gloria. So
Okay.
I'll find out where it's at.
I just want to know because I want as much time as possible for developing that proof of life video. We got some awesome drone footage and we got potential to make something cool and memorable. So I just want to get on that. We talked a little bit. For the hotel arrangements and traveling, we'll talk about that at the end of spring break, which I think makes a lot of good sense because right here is a good crunch week and then followed by a test on the rules. So wonderful thing to coincide with. For outreach, one of the things I wanted to say was both as a member for NASA's RMC, and I've also recently completed the Community College Aerospace Scholar Program, I've taken good advantage of NASA's education department, and so have all of we as well. I know there's three veterans, four or five in the room right now, but I really need to tell you guys, Kennedy Space Center is an amazing experience. It's so cool to go over there and see so many of the universities, so many of the rockets, the engineers and scientists who are there. you talk to a systems engineer who like worked in the Curiosity rover. It's kind of a surreal experience, and so we really need to remind you guys that there's a big light at the end of this tunnel. I know it's hard to work, and I know it's hard to get through this, but I want to let you know that it's a cool thing to go to. So one of the things that I want to express is that I have written up my local representatives for Illinois, both our senators and our congressmen, congresspeople. But I will be posting what I have written to them on Discord, and I see this as a really good opportunity, not just to continue NASA's education, because wouldn't it be weird if we were like the last ones, right? Like, wouldn't that be a strange thing to just say, oh, and we participated in this thing, and then the whole project died because we didn't get involved, because we didn't contact our local congressman and let them know, we care about this, These are how you get your feet wet in the STEM major, and that's a hard thing to do with little or no experience. And so I'm going to post my letter in Discord as a template. You can follow it more or less and fit it to your liking, but we'll be using a lot of this for social media. So, for example, we can also add our local senators and representatives and say, hey, how are you voting? How did you vote? And I think it's a good opportunity.
Yeah, I will also post what I've written. I will post it on my NASA share folder, and I'll resend the link to everybody for the NASA share folder that I run to NASA, to our congressman. Again, it's really important because that, you're partly beneficiaries of some of that. And also, it's been, I think, I've used a lot of NASA materials in some of the other courses that I've written, that I've worked on. And it is, you do see a lot of good that's coming out of it. Because for one thing, all of you are going to college right now, you're taking an engineering courses, but yet you don't have an idea how the knowledge that you are gaining, we're working so hard to gain, is applied in the real world. And this is one of the few ways that we can give you that, where you can have an actual experience of designing something and getting it to work. And that, so this is an excellent internship because it gives you a lot of things, the teamwork and everything else that goes in the real world. And as coming, I have 40 years of experience in engineering myself, engineering, management, etc. And I can tell you, this is about the nearest thing that I've seen in internships that gives you a real world feel of what it's like to work on an engine, to do the design, the mock-up, and everything else that you need to get something working in there. It's something that's really unique, and it's something, it's unlike anything that I've seen to do that, and it gives you that kind of experience. You go through all the hassles, you go through all the trials, you're up against deadlines, you're up against budgets. Everything that you run to in the real world, you run into this particular project. And so, and it's something that's worth trying for us to keep.
So we might take templates or snips and we'll send them through Twitter and Facebook and those type of things. So we'll keep good in contact. If you write anything, please forward them to Deb or I. And we'll be working on that for the next couple weeks. So I think that's it. That's everything.
No, anybody have anything else they want to bring to the table?
Questions, comments, concerns, passing thoughts.
Questions, comments, concerns, passing thoughts. If you need anything as far as material goes, let us know as much as possible. You mentioned some of those things with standoff. Let's get that thing set up and working. We can get that in there. Luke, anything as far as software goes or anything else, let me know.
Will do.
We'll do that in there. Anything else that we need, mechanical team, if you guys need anything else, let us know. That's there, whatever, what we're going to do. I know there's some things that might come up at the last minute. We always try to take care of that, but let's see. If we have anything right now that we have in mind that we know that we're going to be using, let's put it in there. I'm going to leave spares. We'll let that go until we see the robot actually working. Let's take a look at the finished configuration, then we'll figure out what kind of spares that we need. I want to give us at least 5 weeks before we leave. We should have that order out no sooner than 5 weeks before the start of the contest. That gives us time to ram it through the system and get the stuff in. That's all. So as far as fares go, because I'll tell you one thing, you go at the Kennedy Space Center, if you need to get anything at the Kennedy Space Center that's on there, forget it. What you have to do is you have to drive back to Titusville, which is about 15-minute drive, get there, come back, park the car, go through security just to get back in. So we tend to lose a lot of time. And not only that, the nearest McMaster card down there is about 65 miles away. If we want to get anything, so whatever we need to do, let's go in there. We have done things like, for example, 2 years ago, we had to order Raspberry Pis because we blew out Raspberry Pis on our robot, and we, in that case, what we did is we had to send everything to the hotel. That's the easiest way we can get there. Hopefully, we won't have to do anything like that this year.
That being said, I'd like to talk with the other teams just generally and try to get an idea of what kind of spare parts we might need and what's important and what's less important so that we can kind of maximize our space in the car, because I know it kind of seems silly, but there's a limited amount of space in 2 trucks and there's a lot of people, and ideally we don't want to bring a lot of stuff that we don't care about because it's in the same box as the stuff that we do care about. So making sure that we can organize all the stuff that we want in like a neat package and kind of document why we have it. I think that would be a nice compliment to the process that we can then pass on to the next team. That's more.
Thank you, Luke.
All right, great. By the way, speaking of that, did everybody get that list that I passed out in 2016? That's something you can build on that. Like you can work with that and see what you got.
Are we still doing the rate configuration?
That's the goal, I think.
Okay.
But I want to get the OS thing figured out first.
Cool.
Because if
Yeah,
we
let's
set it up with
get the OS and then talk about rate.
wasted.
All right. If there is nothing else, I know we're all going to be busy. So do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Okay, 2 seconds.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Okay.
Okay.
Well,